Hey everyone, this is Phil
and Lula
of the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
You're listening to Into the Night,
The Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 216, and yes, your High Priest of Khonshu Rey, that's me, has slipped in an episode just, in the nick of time for this week. Certain things, colds, flus, a sick family, had prevented me from recording earlier, but here I am. And hopefully this will come out as per the usual end of the week episode. So only one this week, but welcome everyone. Glad to have you with us. And a little bit of a special, I always say this, always a special episode. A little different episode this time round. Of course, it's just me, the rambling Ray. So if you can hack listening to me don't worry, it's not going to be too long. But I do have some, big pieces of news that I wanted to share that is, of course, Moon Knight related, but it's also more intrinsically related to our ITK community. So I wanted to throw it out there, some very big ideas, and I've been approached by some big names. So I want to give them a proper shout out, and I thought this solo episode for this week will probably do it justice. I will follow it up, of course, in the subsequent episodes, just to remind you about what they are. But what the hell is Ray talking about? Well, we'll get to it. So, as mentioned, this is, I've labelled this Headspace because it's just me. It's not really an idle chat because I'm just by myself. But it's mainly to do with his main Spector-Calls. So I've got three big things I want to share with you in this episode. So let's get to it. But before we do that, of course, a big thank you to our sponsors. And at the top of that tree are our gracious patronies. So again, those co-producers and executive producers that you see in each of our episode notes, a big thank you to everyone there. Name-wise, of course, I don't know why I'm saying that. Anyway, a big thanks to the likes of Daniel, Justin, Derek, Kyle, our newest one, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Russell, and Anthony. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, it's the beginning of the month, July, so it's great. There's a lot of funds coming through now to help pay the show off and help support itself. Added to that as well, of course, Daniel Doing, one of our patronies, the top tier patroni, his creation Fringe Knight. Now please check this out, it's really cool. It's an indie creator owned, written comic book series, and it's on an original indie comic based on Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero. So all done through the blood, sweat and tears of Daniel, so go check that out, of course. And our custodian sponsors, Hello Headphones, empowering gamers to play at their best, and Dreamland Comics, the superhero superstore. Okay, so I think we'll just get... before I go straight into it, a little bit of white noise. Look, I haven't done the homework, so to speak. If you are within the Facebook group, please check it out and do so. Loonies have been posting up the countless, we must be over 30 now, different variant covers for Moon Knight 1 by Jed MacKay and Alessandro Cappuccio, which comes out towards the end of July. My gosh, there are some gorgeous covers, but geez, it's going to burn a hole in your wallet, I tell you. There's one I saw more recently, I think it's basically of Khonshu, the bird skull Khonshu. I think it looks bloody awesome. So anyway, there are plenty of them there. I can't list them all. I haven't done the homework, as I said, so to speak, but go check it out on the Facebook group. And incidentally, actually, while I'm here, I might as well, please, if you are a listener and you are thinking of joining our Facebook group, we'd love to have you, of course. More loonies are better, the more the merrier. But please, just be sure to answer those questions, if you do, in particular the last one, and you'll be gained automatic entry. Basically, the little loophole that I'm trying to create there is If you answer positively to having read and agreed to the behaviour guidelines for the group, then you get automatic entry. It's as simple as that. So please just answer the questions, tick those boxes or whatever, and you'll get automatic entry. Otherwise, I just have to issue like a stock standard response in your inbox of, please read and answer the guidelines. Look, we're not asking too much. It's basically just being courteous to others, that sort of stuff. We're pretty fast and loose when it comes to the ITK community, but as long as we all take care of each other, that's the main thing. So yeah, again, if you are a listener and you're thinking of joining the group, and by all means do, there's plenty of stuff to check out there, plenty of loonies churning and bubbling away their theories and speculations. Just please be sure to answer those questions, and as I said, automatic entry. But yeah, having said that, all those covers, check them out. I mean, they're on our Twitter social media accounts as well. As they kind of trickle through, I've either retweeted it or one of the loonies has posted it up in our group. So plenty of covers, save your pennies, or just pick a few that you like. I think I might do that in the end. There's just too much to get, but I'm certainly looking at that Khonshu cover. All right, now, so the three big proposals then. Looney listeners. The first one I wanted to give a big shout out to was we got an email in from an Ian Adema. So a big hello to Ian. Hi, how you going? Thank you so much for your email. Ian is part of an indie group of filmmakers, so I want to most definitely get Ian in on the show when he can, similar to the likes of Alex Lumen and Caden Butera, which we've had in the past. And Ian is currently working on a film in Los Angeles with a number of professionals doing a Moon Knight Origins fan film. So all the details will be in the show notes. They've got a Facebook page. They've got a presence on social media, but basically it's Moon Knight Origins. And I think they've released a bit of a teaser as well. Very cool look. So we know we got the TV show coming, but that hasn't stopped indie creators wanting to create Moon Knight films themselves. And this one is a cracker, really. So they also have an Indiegogo website, and they're looking for funding. So they're currently they want to promote the project, and they're just wondering if they can gain some funding to actually do more for the project. So one of the other things they're thinking of doing is putting together some behind the scenes footage. Potentially or maybe an audio commentary or something of the actual film that Ian will finish. And that will be an added incentive as for anyone who wants to help back this project. But certainly a thing to look out for. And in Ian's words as well, their Moon Knight Origins is known as a group of filmmakers and Moon Knight fans passionate about bringing Moon Knight's origin story to the screen. So again, they've got a presence on Instagram, on Facebook. They've got an Indiegogo page. I'll put that all in the show notes. Go check it out. I'm going to try and organise when I can. I mean, I know full moons are when we do Moon Knight on film, but potentially I can record something with Ian when his schedule frees up, and I can probably post that in our next Moon and Stars segment. But very exciting stuff. It's always fun to see these fan films, and like I said, the trailer looks absolutely... the teaser to what they've released, so check it out on the website, looks really good indeed. So go check it out. Moon Knight Origins. Alright, so the second bit of news that I have is starting to get more so into, I guess, potential Looney interaction. And I know, you guys love your Moon Knight, and you love the comics, you can't wait for the TV show to come on, but I was contacted again by a good friend of the show, Scott Weatherly. Some of you may know him from 20th Century Geek podcast, amongst others, and Scott, he's been on the show as well. He's done an Isla Rara, I think, as well. So Scott has this proposal titled Phases of the Moon Knight, Essays Examining the World of Moon Knight. And as an overview, in 1975, Moon Knight entered the Marvel comic universe as a mercenary tasked with taking down Jack Russell, the werewolf by night. For the next 5 years, he bounced around other character books, slowly getting his hooks into the Marvel universe. He eventually got his own full run and origin story in 1980. Since then, Mark Spector has grown as a character, becoming one of the most interesting of the current Marvel world, but always struggling to elevate beyond B-level. A mix of theology, mental illness, the supernatural, and just plain old ass-kicking, Mark has changed and shifted over the decades, always being difficult to pin down. He has a dedicated fan base that is about to grow with the launch of Disney Plus show in 2022, and now is the time to try and pin down at least some of the phases of the Moon Knight in a series of well-informed essays. So a very tantalising, I guess, proposal from Scott to capture, I guess, the essence of Moon Knight in these series of essays. And he does so as well with, he's actually given a list. So you, the Looney, I mean, you can choose one of them. You can pitch to Scott as well if you'd like to do one of them, or if you have one of your own that you might want to propose. I think that might be on the table as well. But anyway, I'll quickly go through it. So the topics range from The Deeper You Dive, which is a growing origin of Moon Knight, how Mark Spector has grown over the years. So that's looking across all of the volumes, from Mensch to Lemire to Bemis. He's also got another topic is Variety is a Spice of Life, the many faces of Moon Knight. So from Merc, Cabbie, Home, No Home, Superpowers, On and Off, Rich and Poor, is there a real Mark Spector? Another topic is the power of crazy, and this is Moon Knight and his representation of mental illness in the superhero world, which is something I'll get to a bit later. It's diving into the dissociative identity disorder that's represented in Moon Knight and how it's handled, I guess, and represented. Other topics, the God on your shoulder, the evolution of Khonshu. So statue to moon god to personality projection. Is he friend or foe? His relationship with Mark, that sort of thing. Who's your god? The mixed beliefs of Mark Spector, the mix of the mix of ancient Egyptian and Jewish influences on Moon Knight. You may well think there's an alien bent there somewhere, but this mishmash of Egyptian deities side by side with his Jewish influences. Interesting. He Ain't Heavy, which is a nice title for a reflection on Randall's Spector in canon. How does Mark's brother count in canon, and how does it affect Moon Knight? Also, the collection of the odd. This is a fun one, a topic based on the early rogues gallery of Moon Knight. So, a review of the weird early rogues galleries and why they didn't last. Now, some of you listeners will know that Conquerlord is one of our affectionate. We affectionately like to reference Conquerlord when we can. He obviously didn't last. Why didn't he last? Was it the terrible costume? Was it the rats? We don't know. Also, 2 Minutes to Midnight, says it in the title there, the tough life of Jeff Wild, aka Midnight, and his attempts to be sidekick to Moon Knight, but eventual villain. Sympathy for the Devil, Black Spectre as a sympathetic villain, so Carson Knowles. I know Russell will be chomping at the bits for this. That's a very interesting take indeed. Also, the social conscience, the social commentary and stories of Doug Mensch. So I guess some of the commentary that Doug Mensch instills in his 80s run, there's a few there for sure. Crisis in Infinite Minds. This is a cool one, an analysis of the Jeff Lemire run, so that 14-issue run, which was very kind of unique in the whole canon of Moon Knight, I think. And there's also a topic here of From the Dead, the connected short stories of Warren Ellis, a big favourite there, from Secret Avengers to From the Dead. Finally, we have team players as well, so also you can't have Moon Knight without his support crew, so Frenchie, Marlene, Crawley, that sort of thing, but also Spider-Man, Punisher, team-ups in the comics, thinking more so, Round Robin, Sidekicks, Revenge, that sort of thing, and why they never stick. And so I guess why Moon Knight jumps from team to team. He was in the he was fighting alongside the Defenders. He's been in some Avengers teams, but why he really just doesn't stick. So interesting topics, as mentioned. But yeah, any one of them you can choose. Yeah, so that's it. Those are the topics that Scott hopes to cover, and I'll just read out the information here. So any loonies that may be interested or are keen, there are certain criteria for you in order to submit an essay for Scott to have it published. I mean, yeah, how's that? Having your own essay published in a book. And the book will be published by secquart.org, adding to their impressive catalogue of existing books examining comic characters, events, and film franchises. The objective of the book and each essay is to provide an informed, fun, and accessible academic discussion of the topic. So there's a 6,000 word limit. A list of proposed essay topics is provided, which is what I had just mentioned. However, other topics can be submitted by prospective contributors for discussion. When a topic is agreed, each contributor will be asked to provide a 500 to 700 word abstract on the essay topic, including sources they will be using and key issues to be covered. Once discussed and agreed, a deadline will be set for the first draft to be submitted. So also as well, each contributor will be paid $50 for their essay. Amounts may change between now and then when contracts are signed. I'm not sure if that's in US dollars or if it's in pounds. I don't know, because Scott is English. And receive a copy of the book when published. If you are interested, please contact editor Scott Weatherly at 20thCenturyGeek@gmail.com with the essay you wish to work on or your own proposal. So there you go, loonies. That's something that I really did want to raise with you within the community. I know there are a lot of creative folk in our community as well, those that do love to write. So this is a perfect opportunity to get your name up there, to get associated with Moon Knight on the printed form. It seems like there's a bit of work involved, but it's a serious endeavour. So if you really do want to write an academic essay on some of the topics of the character, please just contact Scott, or as mentioned, please look at those guidelines to start off. The 500 to 700 word abstract, that sort of stuff. Get your draft in, sign those contracts. So, a big exciting endeavour there. I'll plug this again. I might plug this again over the next few idle chats. Because I think it really is an exciting thing. Like I said, I'm keen to do it, but it's time permitting, really. But I'd love to see some of the loonies. If you are interested, let us know. I mean, I'd love to hear if you find this an exciting venture. It certainly does seem like a lot of fun. Okay, now finally then, loonies, I have been approached by a third party as well. And this proposal really does, I think, expand the show in how I kind of was hoping to do it eventually. But it's more so to gain awareness as well. Well, we know Moon Knight has dissociative identity disorder. And the mental illness is very much a real thing. A lot of people struggle or, work hard to manage this condition. And it's not necessarily, I guess, portrayed accurately or properly in the comics. Now, those of you that have listened to friends of the show, Capes on the Couch, they did an episode dedicated to Moon Knight and his DID. And more or less, they pretty much dispelled that it was kind of really wrongly portrayed in the comics. So what I'd love to do, and thinking of getting in a semi-regular capacity, is to, just to give some more awareness about DID, so we get to understand Moon Knight a bit more as well. And the way to do this was that I had been approached by a new loony, and she had signed off the email as Lena, but Lena is part of a DID system. So a person that does have DID and Lena sounds very passionate about it. So I want to read her email to you, just so you get to understand, I guess, what Lena hopes to do and what we hope to do in the show, and to kind of give a bit more of a spotlight and a due to this mental illness, which is very much part of Moon Knight. So anyway, Lena opens up with, "Hello. I've been meaning to write to you for a while with my compliments and a somewhat unusual request. I'm a new fan, both of your podcasts and of Moon Knight as a character. Being a long-time Marvel Comics reader, I've known about Moon Knight for a long time, but I've sort of been avoiding reading very many of his comics until recently. There's a reason for that. You see, we have been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder and have been in therapy for it for several years. Because of that, I'm often a bit leery of fictional characters who have DID, because so many of them tend to perpetuate unfair stereotypes and stigmas about the disorder. People like us are often portrayed in the media as violent, dangerous lunatics who have no hope of ever living a normal life. The reality is that we are just people who happen to have more than one identity in our heads due to childhood trauma, and we are just trying our best to work through that trauma and pain to heal. Yes, we have to work a lot harder than the average person to learn to appear normal, but it is possible. So, why did I have a sudden change of heart about Moon Knight? Well, I decided, instead of just getting angry when fictional media gets DID wrong, maybe I should do something to help educate people about it. And with the upcoming Moon Knight TV series on Disney+, now seemed like a perfect time to learn more about the character so that I can have meaningful conversations about what the show and the comics get right and wrong about DID. So I started listening to your podcast and reading along with the early appearances of Moon Knight and the Lemire run. I'm still way behind, but I'm hoping to catch up, both with the comics and your podcast, by the time the Disney Plus series starts. I'm finding that I'm enjoying the comics a lot more than I thought I would, especially the classic Mensch-Sienkiewicz run. Mensch is really a fantastic writer, and Sienkiewicz's art is simply gorgeous. I'm also really enjoying your podcast. Thank you very much, Lena. Your conversations have really helped me to gain a deeper insight into the character, and even helped soften my view of some of the issues that I didn't like on the first reading, such as the first issue of the Bemis run. So, now for that somewhat unusual request. I was wondering if you guys would be open to me writing in with my insights, as someone with DID, to some of the issues that really focus on the disorder or mental health in general, and if you would be willing to read those on your podcast. I think this could really go a long way to help you guys and your listeners to understand the reality of DID and the ways in which the Moon Knight stories are accurate or inaccurate. I promise that this won't be an outlet for me to just bash the comics and the character. As I said, I've become a fan of both the character and your podcast. I just want to help others to understand the truth about DID, because so many people are only familiar with this disorder as it is portrayed in fiction. And what better place to do that than with the fans of one of the most fascinating fictional DID characters. Yeah, thank you so much, Lena. Thank you so much for writing in, and yeah, it's something that I think is quite important, and it's just really interesting. I mean, I'm very curious about it. If it wasn't for Moon Knight, I guess I wouldn't have been exposed to the likes of the disorder, of the condition, DID, but having loved the character, or being in love with the character, I'm just curious to learn more about it. So I'm sure there are plenty of other loony listeners in the same boat. Now, just speaking or corresponding with Lena back and forth through email, they've also mentioned that they have some comments on some of the previous issues that we have already covered as comic book discussions. The first ones mentioned were the Lemire run, issues 9 and 10, and the Bemis run, 188, his first run. Now, although we have reviewed it, we might just revisit it anyway with the input and the comments by Lena. So hopefully, when I can find an appropriate segment and spot to slide it into, hopefully I've got Rebecca on board to join me, and we'll go through it and we'll discuss. I guess we'll have more of a discussion focused on the DID of Moon Knight rather than the actual the comic side of those issues, so because we've kind of done that review. So I'm looking forward definitely to that. But I also want to know, loonies out there as well, your thoughts on this. I mean, this is something that I've always kind of wanted to incorporate into the podcast, to kind of branch out from just the mere reviews and discussions of the comic book form or just Moon Knight as a comic book character. Wanted to kind of dive into a corner of like Egyptian mythology, because I find it fascinating after having followed Moon Knight and had Khonshu told in stories. Let's look into the world of Egyptian gods. That would be fun. Similarly, this condition of DID. I mean, it's part of Moon Knight. It's so much a part of his character. Why not let's branch out on that a bit more and learn a bit more about it? And I originally had thought to do that as like bonus episodes for the Patronies and stuff, but I think Lena makes a great point. I mean, this is all about awareness, just wanting to share and make, I guess, the greater populace more aware of the condition. So I think it's very admirable for Lena to want to do that. As mentioned in the email, that does take some energy to manage, I guess, the condition. But I think, as I said, very admirable to want to share it with everyone. And we're better than within a Moon Knight community. So please look out for that. They'll be coming soon. As mentioned, look, might be. I mean, we talked about maybe a monthly thing. So I might just have to bend some rules with Khonshu a bit, and whenever a segment is deemed, time, then it might be regardless of the phase of the moon, or see how we do it. I'm sure Khonshu won't mind at all. But these are proposals that I wanted to share with you, loonies. I think it's very exciting. A new indie fan film on Moon Knight, potential contribution from loonies or of an upcoming book publication of the essays based on Moon Knight, and finally getting a greater awareness of DID. And I was just like floored, just very honoured, I guess, and humbled to be approached by Lena and someone with DID who wants to actually take it further. So I'm all for that. Very much support it. And and I really want to hear what you guys have to say about it as well. It would be worth hearing.
After the murder of his acrobat parents, young Dick Grayson would go on to become Robin the Boy Wonder, the first partner of Batman. Years later, he would strike out on his own as leader of the Teen Titans, and then as a solo hero of his own, who the world would come to know as Nightwing. Are you a fan of Dick Grayson and his many incarnations as Robin and Nightwing and even the Batman himself? Well then please come join me and my co-host Kristen every week on the Capes and Lunatics podcast as we go through the history of one of the greatest heroes of all time. You think you know Dick Grayson? Well, you don't know Dick.
Hello, Looney listeners. This is Ray here. Just wanting to say, look, if you like Moon Knight, I urge you to give The Fringe Knight a go. This is a self-published indie release by creator and writer Daniel Doing, and it's a ripper of a read. The Fringe Knight is an adventure comic series set in Erie, Pennsylvania, and the series stars the title character who protects his city from every threat imaginable, from radioactive wolfmen to mad scientists putting poodles in giant robots. The Fringe Knight is there to protect.
Definitely worth checking out. I highly recommend it. Available, just check out the show notes in this episode, but Fringe Knight has a Facebook page as well as a Patreon page, and you can also find all the comics on indieplanet.com. So check out Fringe Knight by Daniel Doing. Alright, let's get on to the show.
Just finally also as well, just wanted to mention that, thank you so much as well, Lena. I do believe I may have mispronounced DID, dissociative identity disorder. I may have just inadvertently said it disassociative, but thank you for that for calling that. I want to be able to be accurate with that sort of stuff, so thank you so much as well. And again, Loonies, if you let us know your thoughts as well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, that's the internet, isn't it? There's a lot of negativity out there as well, and directed towards people with DID. So hopefully our community won't be that as well. But very excited to collaborate with Lena. Hopefully we can see Lena in our Facebook group and mingling and chatting away with other loonies as well. But please, let us know what you think. Let us know if you want to contribute as well, because you may have stories, you may know some people, or you may want to share your stories about it. So absolutely, please get in touch via the usual communique. All right, so Loonies, that pretty much wraps up this short episode. Just myself, so just those 3 big announcements I wanted to give. But before we close out, just a couple of bits of nightlines, a bit of feedback from Loonies, and again, can't fault this guy, CMK7, beep boop, beep boop, boop. Chris, thank you so much. He's left some feedback on YouTube for episodes 214 and 215. So for 214, which was the idle chat with Rebecca, Random Acts, I think Rebecca and I were talking about fish and sandbaths and daggers. Chris says, fun episode. It's always a treat when Rebecca graces the show. Glad to hear no animals were harmed in the making of this episode. I am a cat owner as well. Almost named her Khonshu, but it just didn't seem the right fit for her. Thanks for the news about the upcoming omnibuses. I have no idea. I can't wait for those to hit the market. Time to start saving those pennies, I guess. Yeah, Chris, geez, you and me both. Like I mentioned on the show, I jumped in quick. I've already ordered the Omnibus Volume 1. And those other omnibuses and collected editions look like right royal crackers, if you ask me. So I will certainly be scraping the wallet for pennies for that one as well. Chris also sent in some feedback for 215, episode 215 with Rebecca again, where we talked, look, to be honest, I can't even remember what we talked about. It was MCU stuff, Disney Plus stuff. Anyway, Chris says, great moon's eye view of the Disney Plus shows and bits of news thus far. The anticipation is killing me for Moon Knight's Disney Plus debut, mainly because we have no idea what to expect as of yet. I have no crazy theories for the show other than an obvious Blade crossover down the line. But as Rebecca pointed out, I hope the series focuses on Moon Knight without trying to shoehorn crossovers / Easter eggs in those first 6 episodes. I'm also really excited for the new comic series to finally come out and to hear your impressions. I wonder how much of the new comic book series will be influenced, if any, by the upcoming TV show. Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, for sure. And look, I think with the likes of WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki so far, I think they've got the balance right with Easter eggs and references and crossovers, so I'm hoping that the same goes for Moon Knight. And like you say, yeah, I think Blade's the only one I can really think of so far, unless you look at other, I don't know, maybe other Soldiers of Fortune. I mean, Hawkeye distantly, I don't know, but even in the comics, they're not really that linked, other than a pure hatred for each other. As for the new comic book series being influenced by the TV show, I mean, speaking to Tom Brevoort on one of our episodes, he was quite adamant in saying that comic book writers and such aren't influenced at all by the TV show. That they're not privy to any of the stylings and the direction of the TV show. So perhaps maybe down the line, look, once the 6 episodes or once the season has ended, maybe we'll see an influence in the Moon Knight comics from then on. But I think that Jed MacKay, I mean, he's going to have at least, he's probably going to have at least 12 issues under his belt before the TV show comes out. So, yeah, I don't think any of that will be influenced until Jed himself, like the rest of us, gets to watch the TV show. I don't think there's any internal workings, or I think they're both separate, like the TV show side of things and the comic book side of things of Marvel. So I don't think we'll see it. I mean, of course we've seen the Daredevil, Zdarsky, Mark Cicchetto influence from the Netflix show, but as I mentioned, that happened, I guess, after the show ended, or was close to ending. So, yeah, good point, Chris. But I don't think so. I think from the previews we've gotten from Jed MacKay and Marvel that it's going to be very much a different thing and of its own. If there are vampires in the TV show, then yeah, hell, we'll get something connected between the two. So thank you, Chris, for those bits of feedback for the shows, episodes 214, 215. And yeah, I again throw it out to you other loony listeners out there. Get your feedback in. I love to hear what you guys think, and especially with these 3 big proposals in this episode, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on all of them. Well, that pretty much wraps us up, loonies, as mentioned. So next phase, which will be coming out, next week. I'm going to, keep with what we were meant to do for this week. So it was the last quarter moon. I don't know really what moon it is. I think it's, I don't know what moon it is. It might be the new moon, actually, because I think it was meant to be an Isla Ra. But anyway, I'm going to have the power of Chad back, and we're going to have an idle chat, as well as look at, as mentioned before, the Over the Moon Down South issues 26 to 30 of the Benson run. So that should be fun indeed. Looking forward to that. Yes, as mentioned as well, loonies, patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. Plenty of incentives. Please check it out. Thank you so much to all the patronies, of course, as well. Hello Headphones, if you use the code ITK Moon Knight, you'll get 10% off their online store, and Dreamland Comics, you'll get 20% off if you use the code MOON. Also, affiliate members of Entertainment Earth, we've got a link in there. If you use that to buy any of your stuff from them, hopefully we get a bit of coin there as well to help prop up the show. Finally, we're part of the Collective, so I had the pleasure of jumping on the Signal of Doom not that long ago. I got to talk about Wolverine with my mate Dave Finn. So that was fun. It was almost, I think it was a 2.5 hour adventure. Go check that out. But also just check out their show as well. And the likes of, again, the shameless self-plugging. Just earlier this Last Sons of Krypton episode. That was with Connor, my co-host for the Superman podcast. Go check that out, episode 69. Thank you, Lilith. That dropped earlier in the week. But you have other great shows like Capes and Lunatics, as mentioned, Adeland Rising, and look, I'm going to give another one, We Are Venomaniacs. All great. There's a whole series of shows there. The new shows as well. DCAU, DC Animated Universe, hosted by Alan and Rebecca. Really good. All part of the Collective. Finally, you can email us. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on email, itkmoonknight@gmail.com. Got a Facebook page and group, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal. We've got a website. I've still got to get that website up and running. We've got to get our domain name. We can do that now thanks to our fantabulous Patreons, and also a Podchaser site as well. So incidentally, Podchaser and Apple Podcasts, if you can leave a review, that will really help us get our name out there even further. Also, yeah, loonies, let us know what you thought about, we dropped that last week as well, the the premiere episode to The Rise of Set. It's our audio adventure. How did that go? Did you guys like that? I'm not too sure. I enjoyed making it, and I hope the likes of Rebecca, John, and Russell, I hope they enjoyed doing their voices. It's always fun to put these sorts of things together. But yeah, let us know how you go. Another episode is in the works. We'll keep that trickling in, hopefully around every month or so. Should be good. Anyway, loonies, we better cap it off at that. Stay safe, enjoy the weekend coming up, and as always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.